Hi everyone. We have today the first live here about the book club, and I wanted to talk about this new venture that I started with the podcast and the blog. So I'm gonna be highlighting some books, and the first book will be "What Your Excuse to Not Succeed as an Artist." And the reason why I decided to start this book club is so some books that are I love so much, and I wanted to discuss deeply the book and maybe entice you guys to read as well, so you can, get to know the book. I'm not gonna be choosing how-to books, but it's more books about art and artists and creativity and how to difficulties of being an artist and things like that. So today I have Deborah here, and she's gonna join me and is succeeding. What is your excuse to not succeeding as an artist? Yeah, there she
Hi.
is.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you
Brilliant.
fine.
Good.
And you're always very elegant.
Oh, thank you. I try.
And so I was telling people that what the book club is about and what we're going to be doing. And I also want to say that the book club comes with a worksheet. So if you want to grab the worksheet, it's totally free. And you can get in the link in my bio or go to the blog post of the book club on my blog. Hi, Mazarine. And so what the worksheet is about is just like an outline of the book and space for you to write notes and think about maybe as you read. And I just want to show that here I have the book on my Kindle. Here, my light doesn't let me show, but I have on my Kindle. So first we're gonna talk about what Deborah goes through when I have a review in the book in my blog is that she goes through all the excuses that we give ourselves to not succeed. So we're gonna go, of course, not on all of them, but on the categories that she has, we're gonna talk about some of them because we don't have here limited time. So I hope you can all benefit from it. And first of all, Deborah, and first of all, Deborah has an amazing episode on the podcast, and I would highly recommend you guys to check. And it's Artistically You podcast. You can find it on Spotify. Go to my link in the bio. And we talked a little bit about this, but we didn't go deep because we knew we are going to be together here and talking about that. So, first of all, why did you decide to do specifically about excuses that artists do?
Well, it came about because it's the book is part of a series called "What's Your Excuse," and they're all are books about being more productive, stress, written by coaches. And I was invited to write one. First of all, we were talking about creativity, but that was kind of such a big subject, so we brought it down to artists. And it comes out of, as a coach, and each person comes with their own kind of issues and things they want to deal with. But there are lots of excuses that come up. They go, oh, yes, this is what I want to do. Oh, but, and it's, the thing about excuses is they're not bad things. They're actually there to protect us. And the problem is we just go, oh, it's an excuse, I won't do it, rather than, okay, what's that excuse telling me? And so you can use it as a risk assessment. So you're kind of going, oh, okay, so I think I haven't got this, but that might be hiding something else. Or it might just be, as we in the book, it might be something like, I don't have the money, and you think you can't do something because you don't have the money, but you think, okay, so what happens is people often stop at that point rather than, okay, if I don't have the money, how could I make this work? Could I call in favors? Could I do skill swaps? Sometimes not having, I used to work in theatre, backstage in theatre, and we often didn't have the money. And so we got to be so inventive in how we could do things, how we could get things on stage. So sometimes it can actually be, strangely, a benefit if you actually sit and look and go beyond the excuse. And the idea behind the books is that you can read them from cover to cover. I think you said you took about an hour to read it, so it's a very quick read.
Yes.
But also it's the thing that when you're sitting, you're going, oh, and you're a bit stuck, and you kind of go, oh, I see what's going on there. You can turn to the book, you can look at the excuse, and I mean, each entry is probably about, I don't know, 300-400 words. So each excuse is quite quick to read. You get, for each excuse, you get, this is the excuse, this is why it can happen, and here's something you can do. Here's a little tool or a tip that can help you move forward. So it's meant to be quite practical. It's meant to be very friendly. It's meant to be, it's not one of these books that says, just get on with it, because, if you could just get on with it, you wouldn't need the book, would you, really? And I always say, I like to think of it as being a hug on a shelf. So that when you're sitting out on your own in your studio and you kind of go, oh, you can pick this up and know that there is one other person aside from your mum and aside from your dog that's on your side that supports you, because it's kind of when I did my launch for this, and I did a little speech, I said it's kind of my love letter to creative people, to artists, because I couldn't, well, none of us could exist in the world without creativity, but I always think that everything I've learned of any value, I've learned through reading books or looking at other people's view of the world, and kind of going, oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting experience. That's an interesting thought. And so it's my way of supporting all the people who I can't get to coach because there's too many people in the world to coach, but hopefully I can support people in this way.
Yeah. And I think also, especially in terms of artists, like when you give excuses, it can become procrastination as well.
That's it.
Because you think, well, I don't have this, or I don't have the right paints, or I cannot buy a particular brand of paint, and they are the best to paint, and you end up not doing anything. And so let's start with the first category, which is fear. And you have several excuses that people give. But I want to concentrate on one that I didn't talk about in the podcast, is I don't want to fail. And you start with this, I highlighted here. When people talk about their failures, they talk about how things went wrong. But what they usually mean is that they tried something and it didn't work out in the way they expected. The failure comes from having an expectation that is not met. And I think this is one of the most, I think the top thing that artists struggle with. And it's a constant struggle because we have in mind what we want the art to look, what we wanted the business to look, what we want things to happen. And it doesn't happen, but it doesn't mean that it's wrong. It's just mean that what I expected didn't happen, but it doesn't mean that it's bad overall.
Absolutely. And I think this happens, I mean, it happens a lot because when you're planning something or when you're thinking of creating something, you do get the picture in your mind. So you have something you're aiming at.
Yes.
And it happens to all of us actually. Sometimes we go, oh, well, that didn't work out. And we can dismiss it. We can dismiss the work. Whereas, and I'm a great believer in listening to your emotions and being with your emotions. And if something doesn't work out, I don't have a problem with people going, oh, that didn't work out. Oh, I'm really angry. Oh, I'm really upset. Be with that and get it out of your system. But then when you've done that, just go, okay, I've done that. Now let's go back and look at it. What is there? Because you might have learned a new technique along the way. You might have, when you look at it again, you should go, oh, actually, I know somebody who did quite a big painting. Sorry, you can't see me doing that, but a very big painting. And they finished it and just went, oh, that's not what I wanted. And they left it and they ignored it. And they came back about 2 weeks later and said, I don't like the whole thing, but that corner is wonderful. And they actually just cut the canvas down and had that as a painting. It was an abstract. It was easier to do than perhaps if you have a landscape. But it's about just going back and thinking, okay, what is there? Because, I mean, it is one of those things that a lot of coaches say, and you see a lot of kind of wonderful inspirational quotes saying there are no such things as mistakes, they're only learning experiences. And that can be, you know, I think it's very true, but when you're in the middle of it, it doesn't feel like you're learning anything.
No.
This is what I say, be with that emotion. Don't try and just shove it down. Just go, and then go, okay, what did I learn? What came out of this? Even if
it's
thing about there's
always
always something of value that you could that can come out of an experience.
Right. We are always creating expectations about everything, right?
Yeah.
It's and in a personal note, an example, and I think this is an example that I go to teach me in all these kinds of venues, in especially in art, is the fact when you get pregnant and you think you're gonna have a child and your child is gonna do all this, you're already thinking about what they're gonna be, what they're gonna study. And what happened to me is that I have a special needs child. So all the expectation, because nobody told me, don't have expectations, right? Just love that child, and whatever it is gonna flow. I think we, as mothers, also we don't receive that teaching. And I learned to, of course, with the hope of therapy, to learn that I was sad in the beginning because of the expectation that I have, which is comparing to other kids. What I have to accept now is the new reality of what my son could do and how good that could be.
Yeah.
Right? So I think in art, and I try to take that lesson, but it is hard because, and I think it goes through motherhood as well. We take things, it's very personal, right? Our art, everything is so personal to us. And it's so much of our emotion. And it's hard to think, okay, maybe that was my wrong expectation. I think that is a constant exercise that we have to do. It is hard, but it's not impossible. If we just remember that is an exercise.
Yes.
And that's what I love when I did my minor is in social work. I don't know if in England you have such a thing as minors. Here you can kind of have your degree and then have a minor, which is kind of an introduction of a second degree.
Right.
So I did minor in social work because I love social work, because I was helped by a social worker, and I just admire that profession. So I think when you study social work, it's kind of like a coach, right? And you kind of learn how to see things in different perspectives when people talk to you, because we have to do this pretend sessions in class. And so we kind of have to see, the expectation when people are talking, what they're feeling. So the expectations that they had. But I think it's a constant work that we have to remind ourselves, right?
Yeah. And the thing is, it's only natural when you go into anything that you have an expectation. If you apply to be in an art fair, you're not applying to be in an art fair.
I did.
To not be in an art fair, you're applying to be in an art fair because you want to be in an art fair, and you have to think it through. You have to think, well, if I did get in, I'm going to have to make sure I've got enough work. I've got to plan the logistics. So you have to do all that. And then when they say, no, you're not into it, you have to just go, oh, that's a disappointment. But I've got all that planning ready for the next time,
Absolutely. Yeah. So the other category that we have is mindset, which is also huge.
It is huge, yes.
I'm sure that you could put way more excuses than the ones you put in the book.
Oh, absolutely. I could write a
a
another
whole
book
book,
about
right?
mindset. Yes.
But I think the ones that you chose were perfect. And the one that I chose for us to talk is I wanted to be perfect. And I
Yes.
love that you kind of give a wake-up call here in the book saying, don't wait for perfect, commit, begin, and let it flow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like just go, go, go.
Absolutely. It's because we often miss our chances, and also in the doing it, you're always learning anyway. And it's you know, you can do something and it's not perfect, but you can then do it again.
Yeah.
You know, you can go, oh, I learned this, I learned how to do that, I'll now do the next version of it. So you can always be refining your skills. And also, what's perfect? You know, what is perfect?
That's true.
Because I remember
Especially in art, right?
well,
That is
exactly.
such a
And
thing.
when somebody looks at your work, they don't know what was in your mind. They don't know what that picture was in your mind and what you're going to produce. And you go, oh, that's not how it was. I'm just going to have to put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
But to the person looking at it, they're going, oh my God, that's wonderful. That's brilliant. That's so clever. Because they're coming with their picture of it. And there's something else that, yeah, I mean, it's happened to me where you do something and you think, that was really good. And someone goes, yeah, don't like that bit. And you go, oh, but that was perfect. But it was perfect to me, not to them. So it's such a, it's not a constant. It's
No. And
always do
it's
it the best you can. And with the best intentions, I think that's the thing of doing the best you can.
it is so individualistic as well.
Absolutely.
And the other thing is that I think if I saw in this example that, you know, I moved 2 months ago and my things just arrived 2 weeks ago. I moved more than 2 months. My things arrived exactly 2 months and 1 day. And it was hard. It was hard because this time that I have with all my supplies, and yes, I have some watercolors, but I'm a kind of artist that I don't like to be doing just the same thing, right? I am a mixed media. I like to mix things and mix, you know, products. And I feel that my mojo was like going down. And it comes all these insecurities, right? So when I was reading a book, and what I did, I read a lot of books. I think that call of action that you did, I highlighted because it was like, go do something.
Yeah.
Even scribbling,
Yeah.
even like, you know.
And as I say in the book, just start something telling yourself you're going to throw it away. You know, start sketching something, not with this has got to be priced, but oh, I'm just going to throw this away afterwards.
Yeah.
Just to give you that freedom. And it's and it's perfection is tied up with procrastination as well. I mean, they're all
Yes.
interlinked, and they're tied up with you know, the fear of failure. So
Yeah.
to be
Do you
perfect
think also is a escape behavior?
is sorry?
Escape behavior?
Yeah, yeah. I'm not going to start till I've got everything set up, you
And
know,
then you never start.
and then you never start, and then you regret it. And then I often think it's you know, the only things where you need perfection is if you're a heart surgeon, I think, you know, or that
Right.
kind of thing. That's don't just wing it there. But you know, most things actually they don't have to be absolutely perfect. They can be good enough.
Right.
And it's as long as you're not, I always think the thing is, if you're putting out a piece of work and in your heart you just go, yeah, it's not actually good, then that might be something to question. But if it's good enough, that's I'm happy to have my name on that, then that's enough. Because you can be missing out. I often think it's like that phrase, isn't it? It's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. You know, it's sometimes better to have a go and say, well, look, you know what? I did that and it didn't work out, but at least I gave it a try. I
Mm-hmm.
remember I left home when I was 19, and my
Wow.
parents said, you can come home whenever you want, you know, if you ever need to come home. And I thought, well, it might all go horribly wrong. I might, you know, it might not go as I think, but I would sooner have done that and gone home with my tail between my legs, which actually I never did, than be sitting there all the time thinking, I wonder what would have happened if I had taken
Yeah.
that path. And I've done things like I went, I was asked to project manage something in Chester, which is, I don't know, about 700 miles, something like that, from London. I didn't know anyone in Chester. I'd never even been there.
Mm-hmm.
But I had this invitation to go up and do a year-long project. I thought, okay, it means getting rid of my flat in London. It means leaving
Mm-hmm.
my friends here. But it just felt like the right thing to do. And
Mm-hmm.
I ended up being in Chester for 10 years, which was wonderful. I mean, I'm not one of these people that says, you know, go out and do things recklessly, but sometimes it's just try things out.
Yeah.
And if it's not going to, if you feel this isn't going to damage you in any way, try it. You know, if it's not
Yeah.
going to cost you huge amounts of money, try.
But many times I also think that perfection, it's tied nowadays anyway with comparison.
Yes,
Um,
because
I think,
everyone has a perfect life on social media.
yeah, and it's not just about life, it's about you seeing people doing wonderful work. And I
Yeah,
mean, if you go on Instagram and look for artists, any kind of artist, you're gonna see amazing work. And sometimes I'm like, wow, there's so many artists in the world. And I think when you let that influence you in a bad way, I think that can bring that comparison. And the comparison, can make you I want this work of art to be as perfect as that person do. And I think that is the problem sometimes because you have in your mind that you want it to be perfect like you think that person does it perfect. And I think that can be a huge issue as well. I think this is happening more and more as social media grows
yeah,
and it's growing so much. I mean, uh, not just art, but for example, I was just seeing an interview on a program here called Today Show on the internet, and they were interviewing the head of Instagram. And recently they discovered that, surprise, Instagram makes teenage girls feel bad about themselves. Surprise.
surprise, yes.
Yeah, and
Not.
but the same things about art, right? That's what I'm saying. You
Yeah,
look at this person, you think, hey, we all go for that. I'm not saying that I never did that, but you're going like, I'm never
yeah,
gonna do that. I want it to be perfect like that person.
yeah.
But sometimes you don't take in consideration, okay, how long is this person doing that?
Exactly. How long have they been practicing? How long have they been working away? You know, is this all they do? You
Right.
look at, you know, uh, well, I mean, two examples come up. One is Fred Astaire, you know, such a wonderful dancer, but he danced for hours and hours and hours and hours
A
and hours
day, yeah.
a day. You know, you look at Emma. I've just completely forgotten what her surname is, who just won the US Open in tennis. I mean, the
Ah,
hours
yeah.
he's put in, the
Oh,
training,
yeah.
you know,
Tennis
and so
players, they
exactly.
they
So of
train
course
every
they're
day
going
for
to be
eight
good.
hours. Hmm.
Exactly. And if an artist has always been painting and is always in the studio every day, all day,
Right.
and that's all they're doing, and they're always
It's
learning, you
especially in
know,
art. Yeah, art
yeah,
as well. Like you have to do something every day, every day.
absolutely, yeah. It's and
Thank you.
also it's also about, you know, when people's this happens a lot again with clients. They come to me and say, with the comparison, oh, you know, I can't do it like that artist. And I say, so what is it about that you want to be able to do?
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
sometimes it's, oh, actually have that reputation or do this. And
Mm-hmm.
it's about, you see stuff that's working for other people. I mean, I see it as a coach. You know, I see people who are doing, okay, sign up for my course, and you do an
Mm-hmm.
online course which has no personal interaction, but you can do it in your own time. And so many people were bringing out courses like that, during the last 18 months or so. And it's the kind of thing where I thought, oh, maybe I should be doing it. I kind of looked down that route, and I know quite a few of my coaching colleagues were very successful doing those, but I thought, it's not actually what I want to do. I don't want to do remote work. I want to do one-on-one work. And so I kind of stepped back from this is what everyone else is doing. And also the thing is, every artist, every creative person, it doesn't even matter if you're using the same materials or you're doing, maybe you're looking at somebody else who's also using oils and also doing landscapes. But the voices are so different, and you can look at, you bring your own authenticity or uniqueness to each thing. And I've walked around art fairs where I've seen work that's kind of similar. And one artist, I've kind of gone, yeah, okay, it's interesting. I could see how it's good work. And then I'll look at somebody else who is very similar, but for some reason that one resonates with me more because there's something about the voice in it. And so it's not about, it's so hard not to compare yourself with others. We all do it all the time, whether we realize it or not. But it's about, okay, that's what they're good at. What am I good at?
Yeah.
And also, I have a problem with you looking at somebody as, that. When I started, there's a wonderful coach called Mark McGuinness, who is a creative coach. And when I started out, I kind of looked at what he did. And I thought, I kind of like that. But that's not my style. And in fact, I'm very fortunate he's become quite a good chum of mine now. But it's that thing of, he's so far ahead of me in terms of how many years he's been working. He's got master's degrees in which I don't have. So we have completely different backgrounds and very different approaches. And so I look to him as a mentor and as somebody who I admire tremendously. But then I've only got my voice. I've only got the way I do it. And I can learn and adapt and things. But when it comes down to it, I coach the way I coach, in the way that artists, work the way you work. Because when it comes down to it with art and creativity, it's that individual voice that is important. It's how you see the world. When I look at your work, I see how you look at the world. And that makes me go, oh, that's interesting. I hadn't seen it from that viewpoint before. And that's the thing that where we lose that in looking at what everybody else is doing. So look at other people for inspiration, but then remember that in your own way, you're all as good as each other, because if you're being authentic, to use that word.
And thank you so much for the heart, guys. And Mockingbird said, so good to follow our hearts, and we are on USP.
That's Shannon. Is a wonderful creative. She creates the most wonderful things, including spaces for people to grow.
And so I want to remind you guys, we are talking about Deborah's book, What is Your Excuse for Not Succeeding as an Artist? It's part of the book club here, my book club that I just started as a first book. And we have a free worksheet, so you can go to my bio and you can go to my blog as well and download the worksheet and listen to my review of the book and the discussion about the book club. And if you'd like to read and continue the discussion, if you have a lot of people giving discussions, we could even form a place to just discuss the books that we are talking about. That would be exciting. So another thing here in the book is people wouldn't like what I create. That is a huge one. And I love that here in the book, you gave perfect examples of, like Van Gogh and Paul Cézanne. And because, many of the old masters at the time, people didn't care about their work. They didn't see any value. And some of them, unfortunately, have to die. I wish they would see how their art now is so valuable. It's a shame, right? That they had to die, and then people, went on and saw the value of the work, but some of them were in poverty,
Mm.
literally. And it's amazing here. You know, you you have a lot to say on this topic, but I think also my opinion, then you can go ahead and say what you think about that, is I cannot just do work thinking if people are gonna like or not.
No.
What I can do, and I don't think this is like, oh, this sounds so like self-centered. No, what I can do is I do my work with my whole heart. And my hope is that people that get my art will see happiness, will spread happiness if they are buying for a gift. And I want that joy to spread on.
Yes.
But I know some people will not like my art. What I'm doing is I create what I hope in my heart that will spread joy and people will connect with that.
Yeah.
And so, what do you think about this excuse that, I'm not going to create, people will not like what I create?
And the truth is, some people won't.
Yep.
Because if you think about it, do you like every piece of art that you see?
Mm-mm.
I mean, you can appreciate it, you can
Mm-hmm.
appreciate the work that's gone into it, but when it comes down to
Absolutely.
the big question of could I live with that? Would I actually
Mm-hmm.
like that on my own walls? You can actually say, I don't actually like it very much. And that's fine, because there are so many artists, as you say, and there are so many people, there's so much different taste that people have, and there are different reasons why art resonates with people. So it's you're never going to be able to please everybody, never. So what you have to do is, as you say, work from your heart, be authentic to what you do,
Yeah.
and people will pick up on that. And it's the kind of thing where not everyone will like your work, but the people who do like it will love it and will follow you and will be. I mean, as a coach, I know that my style doesn't work with everyone,
Yep.
because I'm not. Well, I was going to say I'm not a tough coach. I am quite a tough coach, but not in a you've got
Yep.
to do this, you haven't do this, why. But I hold people to account and I hold people to what they say they're going to do. But
Mm-hmm.
I figure you've got enough voices in your head telling
Yep.
you that you're no
Mm-hmm.
good and that, imposter syndrome, inner critic, you don't need me joining in. So I try and be as supportive as possible. So I know that not everyone is going to like my style. And when I started as a coach, I tried to be a professional coach and I tried to be, all that. So I thought, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
It's not who I am. I'm just going to have to realize that there will be the people I work with, I'm thrilled to say, seem to really enjoy working with me and we get great results.
Yeah.
And other people don't work with me and that's fine. And
We have
with
we
art,
have billions of people in the world, right? Billions of
exactly,
people.
exactly.
Can you
And
imagine if all billions of people like this?
and I can understand why it can be so disheartening and it can be such a big excuse because
Mm-hmm.
we all like people to like us, but also, as you said earlier, your art is so important, it's so personal. And so
Yeah.
when someone says, I don't really like that, it's like a stab in the heart because I've put my life and
Yeah.
soul
Yeah.
into that and you don't like it.
Absolutely.
And you
Mm-hmm.
just have to go, okay, for the person that doesn't like it, there will be the person who will. And I just have to find where my tribe
Yeah.
and my community is.
And I think that when people, and this is absolutely true, when you want to be an artist and whatever is your medium, if you do art, jewelry, pottery, whatever it is, I think we are talking here about all kinds of creatives.
Mm,
All these journeys takes time. It's a journey. And I think, and that's true. And the reason why I think it's a journey, because it's your journey to find the people that connect with you.
yeah,
And to find the people that connect with you is not easy
no,
because it's a very deep connection when people like your art,
mm-hmm.
whatever is your art, right? So I
Absolutely.
think the journey is more about that. Of course, there is a journey of you learning your craft. There is the journey, but I think when I think about, oh, this is hard and I'm trying, it's more about I'm trying to find that special group that connect with what my art is about. And in my case, that I want my art to help you mentally, to relax, to help with anxiety and help with depression and bring that joy and happiness to your life every time you see the art. And I, not everybody's about that. Some
Yeah,
people just like art because they will like art, or some people don't. Not everybody has anxiety. Not everybody has
yeah,
depression, right? Not everybody went through that issue.
yeah,
So we have to find these people, and it's a hard journey. It's not an easy journey, but it's not an impossible journey.
absolutely not. No, and it's
Yeah. Yeah, and okay, on the next and by the way, as I said, there is way more in each category, so you have to get the book and read it because, you know, and this one also, it's particularly for people that started later in life to decide to have their business. Is I am creative, but I'm not a business-minded person. And
mhm.
I think today it's even more problematic because I participate in groups of artists and all these things like that, and people get so freaked out about Instagram, about social media, and they don't know how to do video. They don't, and they get so freaked out that they think if I cannot do this, I cannot succeed. Which our value is not just about Instagram, right? Um,
Exactly.
but it is, I have to say, as a person that is a one woman duo here, it's not easy, right?
Yeah,
I had to create my own website. I I record my podcast, I edit my podcast, I do everything. Everything that you see here on my YouTube, on my website, I'm the one doing it. There's
yeah,
nobody doing it for me. So um, it's a hard road, and you have
mhm,
to. Sometimes I think, oh, if I don't have a person to do my website, it's why I'm gonna bother, you
yeah,
know? And it can be overwhelming, these business things. And I believe even for you as a coach, there is the business side of it,
absolutely, yes.
right? So talk about how can that be a barrier when they think about going to the next stage of business.
Well, one of the first things I always say to people is that I try and get them to see that the skills that they have in life are the same skills they need for business. And I use
Yeah,
I think in the book
it's
I
true.
use the idea of the journey. If you're walking out of your door to go somewhere, you know where it is you're going to go, usually. You have worked out how much money you need. I mean, whether you've actually sat down and done a budget, but you need to think, oh, have I got, well, in the days when we had money and didn't just use plastic, have I got enough money in my pocket? Have I got my car with me?
Mm-hmm.
How much is this going to cost? How long is it going to take me? Have I got my keys and my phone? So already you're looking at your kind of your vision of where you're going. Your reason why you're going is your motivation.
Right.
You're doing logistics, you're doing budgeting, you're doing time management. Those are all the skills you need for the journey of your business in very basic terms. The thing
Mm-hmm.
that happens is you then get all this other stuff. You get all this jargon that's thrown in. So
Mm-hmm.
you get business jargon. But when you think about it, if you talk to somebody who isn't an artist about, giclée prints, what's a
Yeah.
giclée print? We have jargon as well. So we're just as
Yeah.
bad. But
Yeah.
in every other area of your life, this is what's interesting, is if you don't know how to do something, you'll ask for help. You'll ask a friend, or how do you do, bringing up a kid, oh, was your child doing this at this
Yeah.
age?
Mm-hmm.
Or even things like, oh, I can't even think of the examples, but we kind of just ask for help or mention it. But there's
I
some,
I think one of the most struggles that I see is about website.
yeah,
Like, how do I build a website? I don't know how to build a website. Some people go with WordPress. If you're not tech, it can be overwhelmed. My previous website was with WordPress, and I hated. I had to have my husband help sometimes because it
yeah,
is that overwhelming. it can be overwhelming.
And you can start out, I mean, two things there. First of all, you can ask other people that you know and just say, which ones have you used? Which ones are easy?
Yeah.
And also think about, what do you need on your website? Because, I mean, this happens not just with artists, but lots of people, is if I have a website, it's got to have all the headings, it's got to have all the pages, it's got to sing and dance, it's got to have a shop, it's got to have a website can be one page that says,
exactly,
you of my work. If you want to see more of my work, here's the link to Instagram, here's my Facebook page. So you can start off very simply, and we think everything has to be, again, it's kind of going back to perfection. If I launch a website, it's got to be perfect. Well,
yes,
the best websites are the ones where you update it every so often. You know, where you put a blog or a bit of new information, you check it. So it's always going to be a work in progress. So just think, actually, I just need one page. In fact, Mockingbird mate Shannon, who is on this call, I think I'm writing saying that Shannon still doesn't have a website, but she's on Instagram. She has a link tree, so you can find everything you want from Shannon. And it's actually, you know, it's that kind of thing. And ask for help. Socially, Sophie B, who is on this call, who's watching, she's wonderful. She is an Instagram trainer and Facebook trainer. So, and she is very much about not just the nuts and bolts of how to use Instagram, but how to use it for you. And it's not necessarily you have to.
She's saying done, not perfect. Yeah, and I actually follow Socially Sophie because of you, because I discovered her because of you.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, she's darling. I'm doing a live with her on I think it's the 18th of October. So she's wonderful. She's great.
And also Mockingbird said previously that your book is fabulous. I agree.
Thank you.
But I just want to highlight something. Yes, we don't need fancy stuff. And today we have websites, like my website is on Squarespace. There is Wix. There are websites that are easier, you know, click and drop for you, templates ready for you. I particularly have Squarespace because I love Squarespace after dealing with, you know, WordPress. Is that WordPress is very much for artists, visual artists. If you go, their whole brand is about visual art, even for people that cook, but one needs to, you know, to have that visual appearance of your product. So that's why I like them. And just to answer the question from really Maria is, what is your excuse for not succeeding as an artist? And I will show the cover here again. Oh yeah, there it is.
And it's behind me as well. Yeah, it's everywhere.
Yeah, and but I just want to make a point here that yes, we don't need to get overwhelmed. We have, fortunately, as technology grows, we have things today. But I want to say that whatever it is you choose, do something that people can go out of here. Because it's okay if you're starting just have Instagram as your point of sale, things like that. But this is not ours.
Yeah.
Right? YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, this is not ours. The rules can change. We never know. And Instagram changes every second.
Algorithms.
So, and it's not just that, it's their rules because it's their house. It's not your house. So I think it's important, whatever is your medium, to have a place that people can go and connect with you, email you, see, because I don't know, there was a time ago, it's been a while, but Facebook went out of, was down. Everybody freaked out, right? But I heard about some people that for the mistake of Instagram, they lost their account momentarily, but they freaked out. Yeah. But if people have your website, they have your contact there, they have your newsletter, they know how to find you. So it is important. So if you're not starting this, please do. Even if it's just one page, grab a newsletter, put your email. It is important.
Yeah. And again, I say it can just be one page. You know, it doesn't need to be.
Yeah.
It's just
You
one
start
page.
there and
Yeah, start there
start
and
there.
build.
And again, it's great if you can pay someone to have that. But hey, not all of us can do that.
Exactly.
And another thing is, I know some artists that pay people to do everything for them. Website. I think it's important, even if I had money, had people doing it, I think it's important for me to know how things work.
Yeah.
Because you do have to know what people are doing on your stuff, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Mockingbird is saying her newsletter is a special place for connect with people. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I have a newsletter as
yeah,
well.
I love your newsletter
Thank
because
you.
your newsletter, you send, links, what's going on, and some articles that we should read or a YouTube video. And yeah, I'm starting to do that on my newsletter as well. Book recommendations. And also, by the way, let me do a plug here. If you sign up for my newsletter, I have exclusive video vlog from my studio. So I show you what's going on. I have to post, I'm gonna post soon a video walkthrough that I did on my new setup here, on my new studio. So that is exclusive for my newsletters. And socially, Sophie's saying that is why websites or landing page is important. This content you on social media, you don't. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So just a reminder, because I think sometimes people are not aware of that. And
Yeah.
I think it's good, it's great for connection, it's good for you to get started. But as soon as you can, look for these websites that are plug and play and that are easy for you, that is in your budget. There are all kinds of budget now. And get your newsletter going. There is services like MailChimp that you can start for free.
Yeah.
And, just a place that people can go in case something happens. And you also don't want to be dependent on Instagram, dependent on Facebook, dependent on other medias, right?
Exactly.
So, okay. And the last one here before Instagram kick us out is, okay, I jumped some, so you gotta have the book to read. She talks about logistics excuses, finances excuses, which is a big one, and she has time. On time, she has a bunch of excuses, but I'm just going to concentrate on one that I see is very common, especially for women, is I have a full-time job. So I hear that a lot, and it's very common. And hey, I had to leave my job. And not because I wanted to do this and I had to leave my job, but I had to leave my job because I was paying for childcare more than what I was making.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately happens to women, right?
Absolutely.
But some people can't leave their jobs and they struggle because they want to grow their craft, but they think, why bother? Because I still have to have this full-time job. Yeah. So if you could talk us a little bit about that. You talk a lot about that here.
Yeah.
But,
well, I start off with some examples of people who probably more, well, I don't know whether they're more known in the UK, but there's Philip Larkin, who was a writer, and he had a full-time job, and he wrote the majority of his poetry when he was working as a university librarian. L.S. Lowry, the artist, he had a full-time job, but he used to do all his work largely in the evenings. And of course, there's a whole gallery. I mean, he was an artist who was successful when he was alive. Actually turned down a knighthood, I discovered recently. Gauguin didn't become an artist until he was in his mid-30s, although he was already painting. And it's about finding the time and putting time aside. Some people get up an extra hour in the morning, and they have I don't know if I put it in the book. I should have to look. There was I think it's
you have here a part that you say, remember to place your creativity on an equal footing with all your other obligations rather than treating it as an afterthought. I think that was
exactly if I get enough time, I will I'll do a bit.
You have to schedule, right? You
schedule
have to
it.
schedule.
and come in and say, right, this is my time,
Right.
First thing in the morning is good if you're a morning person. If you're not a morning person, then make sure that you have that time at night. You see, I'm a morning person. I'm the sort of person that you can nudge me awake and put a laptop on my bed and I can just work. But by about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm going home now. But other people, they're much better in the evening. So make sure you use that time. Yeah. So find out when you can, and have it as a regular thing, even if it's only half an hour.
Look,
it's amazing you can do, and it's keeping that process, it's keeping the discipline, and it's keeping reminding you that it's important. And then
even as as mothers, I believe I do have a full-time job. And
absolutely. God, I would I'm not a mother. I just looked at my mother, who was a full-time mother, when I'm not doing that. Otherwise it would be far easier to do.
And my son, he, not right now because we just moved. We are in phase of finding clinics for him. But in Washington, he always did a lot of therapy. So I'm always driving him there. And also the fun things that children do, class swimming and all this kind of things. And what I did, I took an iPad with me and I would scribble on the iPad as I sketch for an idea that I had. I would take books with me, or I would take even my drawing pads with me.
Yeah.
Why I have to sit and wait for him 1 hour in the car? Could I paint there? No. But I was practicing, I was growing, I was learning.
Yeah.
And I also learned that between these things with him, and I learned to do my art in chunks. 15 minutes, leave there and go do something else. And, with COVID, they were home. I did this. I would have a set of time that I would teach him, and then, okay, now is your break. Now I go there, I do something 15 minutes, go back, do lunch. And, you have to do this. It's tiring. I'm not gonna lie, especially if you have a full-time job. When I was working, I was still painting, and it is tiring.
Yeah.
When I was working, what I did, I separate time on weekends. My weekend was my me time, right?
Exactly.
So you have to negotiate with your partner or do things like that can help you, because nobody can do it for you.
Exactly. And too often the thought is, because I can't do it all day, because I don't have a studio, that whatever you do isn't of value, even to you. But you can do, if you do, half an hour really concentrated, you can get a lot done. If you say to yourself, I've only got this amount of time to do it, it concentrates on. And when you think about it, none of us are actually at our peak for 7 hours, for instance, in the day.
Oh, absolutely.
We go up and down, and we have, today I had 3 coaching clients today. That and this is all I've done today, because I've got so many other things I could do. But you know what? To be in the right frame of mind for my coaching, in between sessions, I'm not going to be, and I'll do this, and I'll do this, I'll do this, because I need to concentrate on being the best that I can in those particular spaces.
That's true.
And it's about remembering, if you make this important to yourself, if you say, I need, Saturday morning between 10 and 12, time to do this, and you are serious about that in yourself, that's how you negotiate with your partner, and this kind of thing, is they will take it seriously. And also, this has come up quite a few times when I've spoken to people who said, I don't really, particularly women who say, I don't have the time, and I don't think I can carve this out. But if you say, you say to your partner, I want these 2 hours where I do this, they will often say, oh, well, that's great, because if you're doing that, I can go off and do that thing that I really like doing, that I don't normally go off and do, because I worry about you might not like me going off and doing this thing for 2 hours. So it can actually be a win-win, which is brilliant.
Yeah. And so back in here to the comments, Socially Sophie said, if you create lives on social media, save them and repurpose in your newsletter or website safer. Yes, absolutely. And actually this one is going to go to my YouTube. So it's going to be there. And also I'll put here on IGTV. And Mockingbird said there are times of our lives that we have more time than others, and accepting that can be helpful. Absolutely. Being flexible about what our art is can still give us practice we need. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
it's about also accepting that some days you're not going to have time.
Absolutely, absolutely. But if that becomes the exception rather than the rule,
Yeah.
so if you're usually managing to find
Then
some,
becomes an excuse.
that's it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Then is
mean,
that procrastination,
I know
right?
somebody who I sort of adopted her idea for something else. When she was in the office, if she was waiting for the kettle to boil, which takes how long? 10 minutes for the kettle to boil to make a cup of tea, she would do a sketch. She would do a doodle of somebody in the room or do a sketch. Now, when lockdown happened, because we couldn't get out, I was always one of those, I put the kettle on and then I go back to the computer and do something while the kettle was boiling. Well, I would use whilst the kettle was boiling to walk up and down my stairs to get some extra exercise. So I then felt really good because I was doing more exercise. And it was good for me and it kept mobility and all that kind of stuff. But I
Yeah.
thought, well, actually, I drink an awful lot of tea. I drink lots of tea. So I probably was doing about an hour's exercise. If you allow,
You know what? I can't
yeah.
drink tea anymore. Isn't that sad?
Oh, that's so
I
sad.
can't drink tea or coffee because they are very acidic.
Oh, of course. Oh, I don't know what I would do without tea.
I know.
My
So
fuel.
sad.
Oh, I love tea.
Um,
But
but
when you think about it, even if you only do 10 minutes a day, I think I
yeah,
say this in the book, if you do 10 minutes a day, by the end of the week, that's an hour.
yeah,
And you can chip away at something. And it's keeping that, it does lots of things. It keeps you practicing, but it keeps your belief in yourself that that's who you
yes,
are.
yes,
I mean, the thing is, being an artist is what you say it is, really, and if you're doing that practice and you believe in yourself as an artist, then in time the other stuff will come. You can make it work, but it's about who you're saying you are that's so important.
yeah. So again, I want to show the book here. And by the way, if you are in the United States and if you have a Kindle, you can, if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can get the book for free.
Oh,
It's Kindle Unlimited. It's something that Amazon has that you pay monthly,
yeah.
and you have 10 books that you can download for free every month. No, not every month. Like you have 10 books that you can rent, right?
Uh-huh.
And read for free. And then as you finish, you can get more. But the total is 10 books that you can read at any time. So
And I
your
should
book,
say, I'm thrilled because I still get royalties even if you rent.
yes, of course, because we pay. Yeah, they have to pay. Of course, they have to. People are like, they are not receiving. Of course, they are. Amazon is not
Absolutely,
crazy to
yes.
do that.
One of
Um,
my biggest thrills is every 3 months I get my royalties through, and sometimes they're little
yeah.
and sometimes they're
So
big, but it's like, wow, I'm a
yeah, and
writer.
yeah, absolutely. And so check this out. If you have a Kindle, I love the Kindle Unlimited. You will have access to many books for free, Deborah being one of them. So, and again, she talks about many excuses that we didn't talk here. I would highly recommend for you to check her book out. It is an easy read, very easy to digest, because I think I told you on the podcast, you did a very easy conversation kind of um, type of book, which is always appreciated.
Mhm.
Again, check my bio. We have a free worksheet that goes together with the book club that you can start brainstorming these points that Deborah talked in the book, and maybe talking about your excuse and reflecting about that. I think it's always important for us to reflect about our
Mhm.
own behavior. And you can check my website on my bio. So we have Artistically You podcast with Deborah was on, I think was podcast 15, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
And you can see also the book club post where I talk about the book. And I would love to see your comment there about reflections about the book. What was your excuse, the excuse that more you felt so, true to you that maybe you need to work on. And I want to thank you, Deborah, for always having these conversations with me. I love that. You always so open to have these conversations. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I love talking to you. It's always such a joy, and I just love connecting with artists and just saying you're wonderful. Just keep doing it, and
Yeah.
we need you. We need you.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so
And
so much.
yeah, Mockingbird is saying she highly recommends too. And Susan Clare, love the book. Great chat. Thank you guys. Thanks for the hearts. I appreciate you coming here to talk with us. And we're gonna put the recording here on GTV and on my YouTube. So if you wanna see the video version of the podcast I did with Deborah, is on YouTube as well. Everything's the link on my bio. And I will tag Deborah when I post this on my GTV. So if you're watching this recorded, you can jump onto her. I would highly recommend you sign up for her newsletter because you have some gems there that she sends to you. And also if you live in England, she always talking about things that are going on there, right?
Yeah.
Expositions or things like that. So if you are local to her there, you're gonna have even more, things to do there. And socially, Sophie said, lovely life made me think about the use of time, even when making tea. I know, right? We try to be very resourceful.
We do.
All right, everybody. Thanks for spending the time here and for the lovely comments and hearts. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Deborah. Oh, I always appreciate you.
It's my absolute pleasure. Lovely to see you all.
Bye bye.
Bye.